want you guys to listen to what I'm about to read to you. In 2 years under Stephanie White, Caitlin Clark has been injured and out of all or part of 47 games and been sat down 121 times for being fouled or in foul trouble. Caitlin is the most fouled player in the WNBA, yet Stephanie White has never challenged a single foul called against her. And never, ever, not once. Guys, think about the reality of this. This lady right here is the coach of the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White. She has yet to challenge a play for Caitlin Clark. She has yet to come to her defense. And just like I keep telling y'all, this boils back to Stephanie White, bruh. Stephanie White is a black woman, part of that community, and she worked for ESPN. And we know how ESPN feel about Caitlin Clark. So despite all of the people saying all these nasty things about Caitlin Clark, like she ain't being targeted, bro, Stevie Wonder could see she's being targeted.
There is data that has surfaced surrounding Caitlin Clark's 2 seasons under Stephanie White that needs to be placed directly in front of everyone who has been following this situation, because the numbers are not speculation, they are not fan frustration dressed up as analysis, and they are not the product of documented targeting, accumulated foul trouble, and missed games tied directly to the physical environment she has been operating within. Let that land completely before moving forward. Because here is the specific comparison that makes the absence of those challenges impossible to explain through any neutral or benign interpretation. Earlier this season, in a recent game, Stephanie White did instantly produce outcomes that disadvantage rather than protect her. These are not accusations. They are contextual realities that any honest analysis of this situation has to, at minimum, acknowledge as relevant background for understanding the environment Clark has been navigating. The 121 times Clark has been removed from the floor since minutes where the offensive engine that drives this team's ceiling was sitting on the bench while the game continued around her absence. It represents a cumulative
for equal opportunity and no discrimination based on what you look like, who you like, and anything of that nature. I think black women, specifically, I grew up with a lot of prominent black women in my life that were very important to me and how I was raised and how I grew up, being my stepmom, my AU coach. So I understand how amazing they are and how they should get the same equal opportunity as a white woman, as a white man, to be an important piece of this league. And it was built on a lot of black women, this league was. So it's definitely right for them to get the same equal opportunity as everybody else.
Paige Bueckers made public comments addressing the underrepresentation of black women in head coaching positions across the WNBA. The substance of that position deserves direct acknowledgement. The argument that there should be more black women coaching at the highest levels of women's professional basketball is a legitimate one that stands on its own merits. The pipeline for black women into coaching positions, the opportunities extended to them, the barriers they face in advancing through professional basketball's coaching infrastructure are all real and documented concerns that the league should be actively working to address. That acknowledgement is not difficult and should not be controversial. But here is where the conversation becomes considerably more complicated, and where honest analysis requires look-ins made within that ownership structure reveal something important when placed next to the public commentary about diversity in coaching. The Atlanta Dream fired Tanisha Wright, a black woman. What is also true, simultaneously and without contradiction, is that the conversation about coaching representation is being introduced into the Clark discourse at a moment when the documented data about Clark's treatment is becoming impossible to ignore. 47 missed games, 121 foul-related removals, 0 challenges from her head coach. These numbers exist. They are specific. They demand specific accountability. Whether the coaching staff that produced these numbers represents an appropriate model for how to manage the most commercially significant player in professional women's basketball is a separate question from whether the WNBA should employ more black women coaches. Both questions can be asked honestly. Both questions deserve honest answers. Neither question should be used to deflect accountability from separate institutional conversations, changes what those numbers say about how Clark has been managed and protected under this specific coaching staff. The data is what it is. It requires accountability from the institution responsible for producing it, and it requires honest acknowledgement from every observer, every media voice, and every institutional stakeholder who has been presented with it. Because the numbers do not argue with themselves. They simply sit in the record and wait for the people responsible for the decisions they document to answer for them with the seriousness and the transparency that 2 seasons of evidence have earned. The conversation is not going away. The data is not going away. The 47 missed games and the 121 foul situations and the 0 coaching challenges on behalf of the most fouled player in the entire league are not going away. They are the foundation of an accountability conversation that this franchise, this coaching staff, and this league's institutional leadership have not yet engaged with at anywhere near the level the evidence demands. That engagement is long overdue, and the numbers make it impossible to defer indefinitely.